Hi, I'm Dave Monty with RE/MAX and welcome to my video series, Everything Villages. I get asked by my clients quite a bit, how much of a home can I afford? Well, so many factors go into that. How much you're selling your existing home for, what closing costs are on the buy side, the sell side, how much you're going to put down, how much cash you have, etc. I see my clients fumble with spreadsheets trying to figure all this out, so what I decided to do was build a comprehensive calculator which takes into account the sale of your home as well as purchasing a new home. You can download this comprehensive calculator for free. This video is just a tutorial for this calculator, so stay tuned. I've developed this comprehensive calculator which will enable you to look at the finances of selling your existing home, what you're going to net from the sale of that home, and how you can use that in the purchase of your new home. We've calculated fairly accurately what your closing costs will be on both sides. Using interest rates, we're able to calculate which payments you can afford. We can set this calculator up to show you if you're going to finance, if you're going to pay cash, and you're going to be a little bit surprised what the difference in closing costs are between paying cash and financing a home, and we'll get into that. Before we get started, I need a little bit of a disclaimer. Number one, I am not a title officer. I am not a mortgage broker. This is just for informational purposes only. There are estimates in here. There are averages in here. The goal of this calculator was to get it within a few $1,000s between the two transactions, which shouldn't amount to much in the final payment if you are financing your second home here. Let's get started. I think the best way to hop into this is just to hop into the overall input values, and we'll kind of step through those. On the left-hand side here, this is the sale of your home, and over here is the home that you're looking to buy. One of the things that we do as a real estate agent is we'll provide a seller net sheet, and that's what this is over on the left-hand side. It's just basically what you're going to net from the sale of your home. Now, we got a little bit granular with the taxes and some of the fees in the villages, but if you're moving from up north, the closing costs should be fairly similar, so don't be afraid to utilize this if you're selling a home up north. And over here we get very granular with the villages, which county you're going to move into, what type of home you're going to purchase. In this particular case, what I'm looking to do is I'm going to have a client who's moving from a $450,000 home and then looking at a villa that's less expensive. So we're looking at someone who's downsizing in this particular example. But again, we can use it for anything. Over here is more of the buyer net sheet. If you just want to use this as kind of a closing cost estimator, again, estimation, a closing cost estimator on this side, and don't want to take into account the sale of your home, just very simply up here, you're going to click no, and what you'll see is that the net proceeds just don't flow up here. This is a zero value. If I change that back to yes, then the net proceeds flow up into the calculations. The next input value is commission rate for your realtor when you're selling a home, and this is negotiable. I'm going to point out the closing costs that are negotiable in here. This just save you thousands of bucks just by listening to this video. The next value down is how much you're going to sell your home for, and that is the point of this calculator, saying, okay, if I sell my home over here and I buy a home for this much, how much is my payment going to change down here? As an example, if I sell for $550,000, right, hit enter, you're going to see down at the bottom over here, you're going to see the payment change, right? So I took a lot more, I was able to move a lot more of the proceeds over to the sale of my home, and my payment went down. So let's change this back to $450,000. Now, I've got a mortgage to pay down. You might have a second mortgage for some home improvements you may have done. In here, I allow you to input your current tax bill. I don't go and look this up. This is your current tax bill that you'll have to look up on your own. I allow you to choose which month you're going to close on your home. What this is going to affect is some of the prorations that happen at closing. As an example, property taxes which are paid in arrears, meaning that you pay at the end of the year. So if I'm selling my house and I live there for 6 months, I owe the buyer of my house 6 months of taxes because they're going to pay the first half tax bill for me. Okay? So that's where it comes into prorations. I assume that all closings are in the middle of the month as an average. Again, with prorations like on the buying side, how much interest are they going to withhold for the month, as an example, gets prorated. So I use the 15th of every month for prorations. And again, that's just another one of the estimates in this particular tool. All right, now what you can see, I'm going to step down just in this. So we got my closing debits. I got my loan payoff. I got my tax credit, again, May, so 5/12 of my tax bill as I'm going to owe to the buyer. Typically in Florida, the seller will pay for the title insurance and title work for the buyer. We put that there. They pay the dock stamps, commission. There's some fees that you owe the villages as you're leaving your home. And what I come up with is a total debits. And then you also have some escrow return. So you've escrowed from the beginning of the year home insurance and property taxes, and you're going to get some of that money back. And at the end of the day, this is what you're going to net when you sell your home. What I'm going to do in this particular case, because we are selling the home, I'm going to let that value flow up into the proceeds from the sale of your home. So on the right-hand side is when you're buying your home. Now we're going to calculate all the closing costs, and again, estimations only, but pretty accurate estimations. Right, so the very first thing you're going to do, and this is probably the most fun part of the calculator, let's look at the difference in paying cash in Florida versus a loan. When I have a loan, my closing costs are almost $7,000 in this particular instance. If I pick cash, my closing costs go down to $487. Okay, and we'll step through what all of those are, but for this case, let's keep it the more complicated version, and we're going to say that there's a loan. Let's put in the current interest rate at 2.75 because that's what it is currently. I'm going to do a 30-year fixed mortgage. I'm going to carry over my homestead exemption, which will affect taxes. If I hit, where are we here? If I hit no as an example, you'll see the annual tax bill down here should change. Right, so you didn't carry the homestead exemption. It equates to about $500 on your annual tax bill. But let's keep that's coming over with you. Closing in May. You're looking to buy in Sumter County. 95% of the homes are in Sumter. You're now looking to buy a villa. Now, when I pick villa versus designer home as an example, the main things that will change down here are going to be, again, your tax bill. Over down here on the left-hand side, you'll see what I used for the bond. They're not exact numbers because the bond can vary wildly from neighborhood to neighborhood and neighboring neighborhoods to neighborhood. But for the most part, you pay more for your bond south of 466 than you do north of 466. So that's why I have here is you're buying the north or south, because you'll see here again that north or south, if I go south, my tax bill changes. So let's say we're going to say south of 466, we're going to stay in a villa. Okay, looking to spend $285. Now I could do this calculation two different ways, but it would almost double the complexity of this thing, which is here is the payment I can afford, how much of a home can I afford. What I decided to do is not teeter between those two, because again, it get very complicated. So what you're taking a close look at down here is what your payment's going to be. And if you can only afford $700 as an example, then you might only be able to afford a $200,000 home. And but anyway, you got to play with this number in order to get to the payment that you can afford. Let's keep this at $285,000 for this particular thing. Again, we're already south of Highway 466. Is the bond paid? We're going to say no, because I'm going to almost do worst case scenario. We put $5,000 in earnest money in escrow to hold the home. We're looking to put an additional $40,000 down. We take the net proceeds from the sale of our home and put it in here, and then we start calculating all the closing. The bank will require it. Hold on, my battery's about to die. So let's get to closing cost. Survey. Now, if you have a loan then they're going to require that you have a survey done on the property. It is optional if you're paying cash. Really, if there's, in the villages, the boundary lines are pretty set. If your neighbor has a fence, which pretty much aren't allowed here, then you might want to take a look at whether someone's encroaching on your property or not. But if you have clear property lines, nothing's too much on them, it might be a little area for you to save a little bit of money if you're paying cash. But again, up here, even if you're paying cash in this particular calculator, I always keep it in there. I don't allow you to choose it as an option or not. Go back to the loan. Now, what's interesting is that you still have these expenses whether it happens at closing or not, meaning you will have to pay taxes and homeowners insurance, etc. But you don't have to fund an escrow account in order to do that. So these closing costs here are funding your escrow account so you can pay your property tax and homeowners insurance. You're going to prepay interest to the end of the month. You are going to have a recording fee, mortgage stamps, and intangible tax. Both of these are taxes on your mortgage. You're going to have loan processing and underwriting fees, and an appraisal fee. A lot of these are negotiable not the taxes. Taxes are never negotiable, but a lot of these items are negotiable. So when you go to close on your house, ask your agent which ones of these are negotiable, when you're dealing with a title company or dealing with a mortgage broker. And what you'll see down here is the goal here was to show you, okay, here's what you're going to ultimately take a loan out for, and here's ultimately what your payment's going to be. Again, let me just do this. If I put cash up here, I kind of change the values down here. I say here's the cash that you need to bring to closing, and here's what your annual tax bill will be, just for reference. And same thing up here when I do my loan down here. I have my annual tax bill in here just for reference. So this is what I call my both sides calculator. Hopefully it makes trying to determine what your budget is for a new home that much easier. Well, that's a tutorial on this calculator, which you can email me for at davemontesales@gmail.com, and I'll send you your free copy. Hopefully it makes it a lot easier for you to plan your next move. Please subscribe to my channel. Hit like, comment, whatever you want. That all helps in the search engine. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a fantastic day. Take care.